asked Damara to join because she's brilliant. I met her nearly a year and a half ago. We were both on a panel talking about technology, creativity, and blackness. And I was kind of like slightly overwhelmed by her like level of creativity in this space, the energy that she's got behind the work that she's doing, and just how engaging the pieces are. But today she's talking specifically about how we can protect ourselves when protesting, because the surveillance technology that's been implemented has been fairly terrifying. Um, so I'm going to let Damara get on with it if she's ready to go.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
You look
Hello,
wonderful.
Charlene. Great seeing you. And thank you so much for this amazing introduction. Um, my name is Damara Inglês. I am a proud Black African woman in her late 20s. My favorite pronouns my chosen pronouns are she, her, and hers. Um, and I mentioned that I'm a proud African woman. So I'm wearing a huge blue turban that I actually bought in my home country, Angola. And I'm in my living room in my house in Lisbon. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a face filter that actually hides your identity. And the idea behind this is that many government agencies are using social media content to track down protesters and then prosecute them. So the idea behind this filter is that when you are in a protest, you can record everyone around them using this filter so that their identity is not disclosed and so that they will then not be prosecuted. So let's get on with it. I'll start by sharing my screen. I think this will work. And opening the Spark AR app. Sorry. Can you guys see my screen?
No,
Yes.
it's on.
No, I can't actually.
Can you guys see the Spark AR layout, right?
We can see
Oh,
your lovely face.
oh, you're seeing
Yeah,
my face?
all we've got is your face tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me see. Oh, it's here. Share. You can see this now, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I already have this filter ready, and I'm going to show you how to start it from scratch. First of all, we have to go to File and create a new filter. Once we are in the new project, the first thing you want to do is to add the face tracker. Basically, this will read the data on your face and track your face wherever it goes. And every object or image that is attached to your face will move in the same direction as the face tracker. Afterwards, we will add the face mesh. And normally we would spend minutes, maybe hours, or even weeks just working on the face mesh and defining the material, how refined it should look, how neat the skin should look as well. But today, our main goal is to hide the face and not to highlight it. So for this, I'm going to make the face filter, the face mesh material 100% transparent. So I'm going to create a new material. Then I go into the material and simply change the opacity to 0%. Now I'm going to add the assets that I already have prepared for this workshop. So the first assets that I'm going to add are the two 3D objects that I designed. They kind of simulate this idea of glitter that I like. They are somewhere in between glitter and pixels, which is quite interesting to me. The second pair of assets that I'm going to add are two HDMR images. And we are going to use these images to create reflective materials. You will understand what I mean by that once we get on. The first thing we want to do is to add the glitter object into the face mesh because we want it to track, to move along with the face. Once this is in place, we wanted to sort of Well, we want to be very creative here, and I don't want to be limiting. Anyone can make this in whichever way they find best. But I want to make sure that the face is really covered. So I'm going to make this smaller, pull it down, and turn it to the left so that I can see that it is actually hiding the face. Our goal is to hide the face. Now we go back to our view, and I'm going to create the material of the first glitter object, glitter slash pixels. So I'm going to go into the object and create a new material. This new material, we are going to call it Pixel 1. We are going to change Pixels 1 shader type to physically based. Physically based means that the material will sort of reflect what the camera is seeing in real life. Then we are going to set the metallic value all the way up because we want it to be very hyper reflective. The next thing that we want to keep in mind is the environment. Never forget to tick the environment box. This is one of the most important steps towards creating a reflective material. That's why the HDMR images are so important. Oh, I actually forgot that first I have to create an environment texture. And as you see, the software already comes with some environment textures that you can simply import for free and add into your project. So we want another one because we will have different layers of pixels. So we also want these different layers to have different expressions and reflect different images. So I'm going to download around 3 different images. Now that we have our images here, we can go to Pixel 1 again, where the environment box is ticked. And here we are going to select one of the environment images. So I just picked forest. You can see how when you select a different environment image, the colors in the pixels completely change. So it is exactly the same material, but just the difference in the environment texture and the environment images already makes a huge difference in how it's going to look. So now that we are happy with this material, I'm going to select the glitter 3D object and I'm going to duplicate it because I'm happy with how it looks. Now I'm going to move it down a little bit because we don't want to cover just the face. We want to create this beautiful sort of swirl or hurricane of pixels going around the person so that this filter is dynamic, but at the same time, it protects your identity. So for the second glitter object, we want to change the material a little bit, and we also want to make it bigger. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger and move it down again. Once you are happy with the results, we have to create a new material for the second glitter object. So I'm going to go here and create a new material. And I'm going to go over this again. So we change the shader type to physically based. And then we pull the metallic all the way up because we want this to be reflective. Then we tick the environment box and select a different environment texture. So you see, now we sort of have the effect that we want to have. I'm going to add another layer just to be sure that this will properly cover the person, the user, from the torso up. So now I'm going to go again and duplicate the glitter 3D object. And we go over the same process. We pull it down and we make it a little bit bigger as well. I like making it bigger as I pull it down because I like to follow sort of the proportion of the body, and I like that the effect follows the proportion of head and then the shoulders area and then the wider area below the torso. So once again, we are going to create a material, and I'm going to go over this again because I know that it's quite complex to get it at first, like how to make this reflective material. So I'm going to create a new material. And once we have the third new material, once again, you change the shader type to physically based, pull the metallic all the way up because we want this to be shiny, we want this to be dynamic and exciting. And then we pick the environment box. And now we are going to select the third environment texture. So now you see that we have a sort of dynamic sculpture around the user with different reflections, slightly different colors. So it's already looking quite exciting. Okay, so once I'm just going to change my default video here. Perfect. So, okay. Once you are happy with how it looks, as I mentioned, we want this filter to be dynamic, to be able to hide the identity and at the same time sort of reveal it at times. We want this seduction. We want to show a little bit of skin, and we want this filter to be fun. So we want this to be moving and people to feel that it moves with them. I'm going to replicate this material once again, so that anyone that didn't see because it was stuck can see how it.
Thank you.
So basically we get the 3D glitter object and we duplicate it. Once it is duplicated, we move it down because we want to follow the body's like natural proportions. And we can also make it slightly bigger. And once you are happy with how it looks, we can change the actual material. So we go into the object and we create a new material. On this new material, because we want this pixel slash glitter moment to be reflective and to be exciting and dynamic, we are going to change the material shader type to physically based. And then we are going to push the metallic all the way to 100% because we want to make sure that this is very, very reflective. Then we have to take the environment box and add a HDMR image. Here I'm going to select the sunrise image. So as you can see, this change of material adds a new layer of dynamic and excitement to the filter. So once you are happy with how it looks, we can move on to adding a 3D animation to the filter. So we're going to go into view, and show/hide patch editor. In this case, we are going to show it. In the patch editor, we are going to right click and add a loop animation. Then next to progress, once again, we pull a little cord and we select transition. Oh, sorry. So once we have this, we can start going through all the 3D objects. So I'm going to go to the first glitter object. And next to the rotation, I think you can see here the little yellow arrow that pops up. Next to this rotation arrow, we're going to click this. And as you can see, the 3D object appears here in the patch editor. So now we just have to connect. Right now, we don't really see anything because there's not much happening. But if I add this value to 360, you will see that one of the pixels objects is starting to move around the head of the user. So I'm going to pause this, and now I'm going to repeat the exact same process to each one of them. And I'm going to add slightly different values because I don't want all of them to be turning and swirling at the same time. I want them to be acting at different paces. So for the first one, I'm going to add the duration of, as you can see here, the duration of 5 seconds. And now I'm going to select this and simply copy, paste. And then I'm going to go to the second glitter object, once again, next to the rotation arrow, and get it here. So for this one, I'm going to add 7, and instead of 360, perhaps minus 360. Let's see how it looks. Oh, this looks exciting. It already looks like the person is kind of dissolving and disappearing into these pixels. So we are going to repeat this once again. Copy, paste. And here I'm going to add 3. And instead of minus 360, I'll just keep 360. I'll select the third glitter object. And once again, next to the rotation, I tick the little yellow arrow and add this information here. The interesting part of adding this movement is that because the material is reflective, then as it moves, it also shows like different layers of textures and colors. So we can repeat this once again. Loop animation and transition, copy, paste. I'm literally going like Control C, Control V. And going to the other glitter object and next to the rotation arrow. And here we can add the value of 5. Again, I think that's the value with which we started. And keep it at minus 360. So this is how it's looking like at the moment. Let's see why these objects are not moving. Let me make them invisible. So you can tell how it looks now. It looks like a little swirl, wind swirl of pixels going around the user. Our goal is to really cover the face. So I'm going to select all of the objects and move them upwards. I will also change my view to the left and move them a little bit inwards because we don't want them to be just stuck on the face. We want it to feel like it is around the body. And as you can tell, it's already happening. In case, if you would like it to have more layers of glitter, for example, the only thing you would have to do is simply duplicate the 3D object and then repeat the same steps that we repeated earlier. You select loop animation, transition, copy, paste, and then go into the 3D object and next to the rotation arrow and add it to the patch editor. We are going to make this last for 7 seconds and at 360 instead of minus 360. And there is another layer that is moving. Actually, no, it's not on the face mesh. We have to add the 3D object as a child of the face mesh. So now, as you can tell, it's moving around the face and it gets increasingly hard to view and identify the user that is wearing the filter. You can duplicate and replicate the object as many times as you want. The exciting thing about Spark AR is that once you add a 3D object into the hierarchy and then you simply duplicate it, the value of the object is not duplicated as well. So you can replicate the same object several times without increasing the weight of the project. So now that we are happy with how it looks, let me see how it actually looks on my face. You can tell that it moves with me. So once we are happy with this result, the only thing we have to do is to actually upload the filter. I'm not going to go to this process today because it's quite lengthy per se, but I'm going to show you a different trick. So in here, you have the upload and export option, and then here you have the test on device option. Select send to app, and let's send to the Instagram camera. This takes a little while, but not that long.
So will this be public once you've uploaded it, Damara?
I will send. So now we have the test link, as you can see here, and it comes with the definition. The test link has a maximum of 200 views, and it lasts up to 24 hours. So I'm going to copy the link and add it here onto the chat.
That's
so
brilliant.
that anyone that is watching us right now can actually try it on their mobile devices. And I will be launching a heavier version of this filter next month. So it will eventually be live and kicking. And yes, pretty much that's it. That's how you create a face filter that hides the identity and is sort of dynamic and poetic at the same time. I like this effect, and I say that it is part glitter and part pixels, because that's really the intention that I had when I was first designing it. Is this idea that when we are active members of our society, when we are speaking up towards equality and other valuable notions of our environment, we set ourselves to the stage of life, and we set ourselves to the stage of change. So it's a little bit of pixel, it's a little bit of dissolving into surveillance, dissolving into the matrix in that sense. But at the same time, it is a little bit of glitter. It is pride in speaking up, and it is a celebration of the freedom that we have to speak up. Thank you.
Damara, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Charlene.
I really love the idea of, even though it's creating something to shield us, that it's also in its own way like a form of protest in its beauty. In that kind of like we will be seen, but kind of like on our own terms.
Yes, definitely.
And also it's like it's not a complicated process, so it's something that we could easily do, that people can pick up. But then yeah, like also some of it's gonna like look great on your Instagram. So like,
It's the whole idea of, looking amazing on Instagram, feeling cute, might delete later, but at the same time protecting your identity. Is the notion of um, seduction, but self-protection and preservation as well. And you're right, it is a quite simple process of creating face filters on Spark AR. And I very much encourage anyone watching to engage with it and to also make your own anti-surveillance face filters to share with your friends, to share with your communities. And the important thing is that the intention of this filter is to protect ourselves in the context of protest. So create your specific filter to your specific protest. If it is Black Lives Matters, if it is queer rights, you can add this kind of slogans into the filter and make it specific to you.
it's kind of like the opposite of the black square in some ways, right?
Yes, it's the
You can say something with your anonymity versus just being kind of blank.
exactly. It's like not erasing the message in a
Yeah.
way, but um, showing the message as a way of hiding your identity. Because in the context of protest, your identity is what you're standing up for.
Yeah. Have you used it? So you've been using it yourself in the process that you've been attending?
Yes, I've used different sort of filters
Yeah.
and had some really, really exciting moments of like 10 people coming and screaming and looking like Terminator sort of machine. It's really fun. It's really exciting. And the fun thing about this filter is that because it looks like a swirl, when you have a mass of people together and you point at them, then it looks like they're all just like melting together.
That's nice. Thank you so much for doing that today. I, for one, am going to be using it. I need to. I turn up at these events too often. I'll become a target.